I just want to welcome everyone to our Fitness Friday. I'm Diandra from Cancer Free Haven, and I'm joined by Cass. And today our topic is going to be on overcoming barriers to exercise. If you're a breast cancer survivor or thyroid cancer survivors, this is across all different types of cancer. As you go through surgery, radiation, different kinds of treatments, your physical activity level can take a hard hit at multiple different phases. So that's what our discussion today is going to be about. We're both stage 3 breast cancer survivors and both have gone through surgery. So that's something we share in common. And beyond that, our other experiences with breast cancer are a little bit different. So we'll probably talk about that during the discussion. My first one for Cass branches off of a previous Fitness Friday that we talked about, which was the mental blocks. Cass, if you can give us some way that you actually address these mental blocks and getting back into exercise and how you think that really helped through your cancer journey.
That's a great question. For me, I think having cancer definitely caused me to change my perspective on a lot of things, but the mental block that I used to have for exercise, like, oh, I just don't want to go today, or I'm tired, which you can make every excuse under the sun, especially when you have cancer, and they're all very valid. But I think I went so long not being able to exercise because of recovery from surgery or some physical barriers that when I could, if there was ever a part of me that wanted to make excuse, I reminded myself, no, you're so lucky to be able to exercise. I remember the first walk I went for after my surgery, I was just like smiling because I hadn't been able to do that for weeks. And so I think that was the big thing, like just shifting my focus to having gratitude to like having a body that's able to participate in exercise again. And to this day, I'll be on a run halfway through and just be like, whoa, I'm running. And I'm really grateful to be doing this right now.
Oh, that's great. I love that. Yeah, just realizing what you didn't have before and then getting back into it. It is a new appreciation for something that you might have taken for granted. So that's great. I'm glad that you mentioned that.
What about you? Do you have any tips for that?
Yeah, so for the mental side of getting back to exercise, I've noticed that for me, after I get sick from something, so I had a cold or a flu this winter, and I was just out and I didn't want to do anything. And what really helped me to get back into exercise was having accountability buddies, having my husband be someone he would work out, and then that would motivate me to work out. And it was funny because yesterday he was saying, oh, you worked out and that motivated me to work out. And I was like, but you worked out the day before and that motivated me.
Oh.
So it just built on itself. And that was really cool. And on that same kind of note, with this recent illness that I did have, I started to get back to physical activity gradually. So last year over the summer, I broke my wrist, and that really took a number on my physical activity because you don't realize that almost all exercises require your hand until you can't really do much. What I did for one of my exercises, I was doing a core workout and I was like, oh, my core is so weak. So what I did was I pulled up, this is an old exercise video that I've used for the last couple of years on YouTube. And I just started saying, can I go as far as I can go? And then if I collapse, I'm going to pause it. And then I'm just going to start over on the next time. So the next time I do that exercise, I started again. I made it through, I think, 2 minutes the first time. And then the next time I made it through 4 minutes. And then I was stuck at that 4 minutes because it was really hard ab workout. But then I just recently this week actually got to the point where I finished the whole video. And it was just really great and encouraging that as I did it in these incremental steps, that really made the difference. So I wasn't comparing myself to someone else. I was just saying, what can I do and how can I show up?
Oh, that's so encouraging. And congratulations for finishing that exercise. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
it felt awesome.
Yeah. So let's see. My next question here is going to be around surgery, since you did mention that. So I know that we go from having all of our physical capabilities to the next day waking up and not being able to raise our arms. So how did you deal with those limitations and how did you scale gradually to get back to a point where you were doing most of the things again?
I definitely cried a lot, a
Mhm.
lot of mental breakdown first, as one does after a double mastectomy. I think I just allowed myself to feel all of the emotions. The day before my surgery, I was doing CrossFit, and so waking
Mm.
up and like I had really bad axillary web syndrome, and I'm still dealing with some stuff with that, but I like couldn't move my arm, and the drains were hitting nerves on both of my sides, so I had frozen shoulder. I was immobile from here to here, and it was so painful. So essentially, I just allowed myself to feel all the feelings, and I really didn't push myself, which was tough for me because I'm such a type A personality and I always want to be the best and I always want to do everything. But I just allowed my body to tell me when I was ready. So it
Mhm.
started with a walk, and it was a slow walk. And then once I got the drains out, I was able to be a little bit more active with my arms. And I really just completely listened to my body and submitted to its control
Mhm.
because I probably mentally would have loved to push myself, but my body wasn't there. And it took probably a month to go for my first run, which was short. And then I built myself back up from there. I went back to marathon training and just took it easy, but it was definitely a really tough process, but it provided a lot of joy when I was able to do it again, which was lovely.
Wow. Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sometimes we just physically can't, right? And I'm glad that you mentioned that because it's great to say that, oh, we're going to get back to our post surgery self or our post treatment self. But sometimes we just can't get there and we need to find what our new normal is. So I hate the fact that that phrase was coined during the pandemic. But for cancer, that is really appropriate that we need
Mhm.
to adjust to whatever situation we have now. I can really just think back to my thyroid cancer surgery because that was the first one I had. And I couldn't feel like this side of my face. It was just the weirdest feeling. I had the numbness in my neck. I had my thyroid removed, all these lymph nodes on the side, couldn't lift my shoulder. And I was just like, how am I ever going to get back? And the only way that I really made progress was a physical therapist who was like a drill sergeant with me. They give you a massage, but then she'd be like, do this exercise. And I'm like, it's difficult and I'm not very good at it right now. And I even got to a point where I asked her, I was like, can you do that exercise? And she said, no, I don't have to. You do. And that really just made me think that it's really up to ourselves to see how much we want to work through, we want to strive through. And so I got back a lot of feeling here, but I still have this little twinge sometimes from my left side that it pulls on my lip there and I get self-conscious of it sometimes. But then I realize that that is just what's remaining, but I've become so much stronger. What can we do with those other areas of your body and how can we lift them up and say, you know what, I don't have this, but I have one really strong right arm and I can do all of the things. I can do a lot of bicep curls. I can carry things or lift them up, but just getting outside of comparing yourself to where you were before, but where you are now and looking at that mental aspect and trying to be grateful for what you have because some people don't make it through their first diagnosis. Unfortunately, some people don't even get to be where we are today as survivors. And it's really heartbreaking when you think of children with cancers and things like that. I feel for you, and I hope that you're able to embrace the parts of your body that you can use and love those.
Oh, that's really beautiful. And yeah, I think it's really just embracing the new normal. It doesn't mean you have to be happy about it, but it's just, I think when you're going through these health battles, it takes a lot to just be like, okay, my body's driving the truck right now. You know what I mean? And let's work with what we can. And so I remember I couldn't use my left side to the extent that I used to. I still to this day, I don't have full range of motion just yet, but that just means when I am in the gym and I'm lifting weights, I'm always doing heavier on my right side or I'm using that more because I have to, and that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. So, do you want to go through another question here?
I was going to ask about cancer fatigue.
Mhm.
How do you find exercise helps with that? Does it help you with that? And how do you navigate exercise with cancer fatigue?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think my first instance with cancer fatigue was around my diagnosis. So it wasn't even really related to a treatment, but it was the cancer itself. And I just found myself needing naps in the middle of the day. And I really had to scale back my physical activity expectations. I had to say, what can I do? What is the bare minimum? Can I just take a lap around my house and really start from there and build gradually? But it wasn't really until the surgery, when I had some resolution, that I started to feel some of that fatigue fade. And then for me, it flared up again with radiation a bit, but
Oh,
I had
yeah.
already built in that habit that I just allowed myself to do radiation, go in, come home, rest. I wasn't even sleeping. I would just lay down for about an hour and I set a timer because I didn't want to lose the rest of the day. So I would set that timer, get up, and then I would just say, okay, I'm going to go on a walk. So I would try to just go a little bit further each time and just acknowledge that it's okay to have a down day. It's okay to have a down week. You don't have to be on point all the time. And as we were talking last week about lymphedema, we do notice that the more sedentary we are, the more that these symptoms and side effects can show up. So it's really giving yourself that grace that if you need a break, look, it's okay. We all have those times. But then that needs to end at a certain point. I did want to talk about a book, Atomic Habits. It's James Clear, and he talks about habit stacking. So he says, what is something that you will do every day, regardless, rain or shine, you are going to guarantee do that thing? Maybe brushing your teeth. And then he would say, get one habit that you want to add to that. Say, I brush my teeth every evening, but I also want to get better about doing facial moisturizer. So you're adding something that you would do right after that activity. I brush my teeth, then I put the lotion on. So for physical activity, one of the things that I started doing while I was having all that cancer fatigue was bedtime yoga. I would go and I would get my pajamas on, brush my teeth, do all that. And then I would put on a video that was just a 5-minute, super easy sequence, and then just do as much as I could. You're doing that habit stacking, but also just scaling. And the thing is, any activity can be physical activity. And if you're coming after surgery, walking to the bathroom is 100% physical activity. I remember being excited about my first shower. That was physical activity.
Yes, I would. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we do have to scale it to where we are and celebrate the wins as we reach them. And the first time I took a shower by myself, I was like, hell yeah, this is awesome. I'm so strong. It takes a lot. So I think just acknowledging that we all have different baselines and that may be lowered because of certain things that come to us during cancer.
Absolutely. I think also in regards to cancer fatigue, I remember when I was talking to my oncologist during chemo, I was like, I feel so tired. I don't know what to do. And he said, this sounds weird, but the best thing you can do for that is exercise. And I was like, oh, okay. So basically what I started to do is I was making mental notes of when it would hit. Because like cancer fatigue, at least in my experience, it's not like 24 hours. It's like certain windows of time. And I also would notice if I ate certain foods, I might have more energy longer, especially if I ate more protein, etc. And so then I just figured out what time of the day I had the most energy, and then I would exercise in that hour. The proportion of the hour would change every day, but I found when I did that, the cancer fatigue actually would be delayed throughout the day. So I definitely do think it worked, and I would totally recommend anyone if they're like, oh, I feel tired, I'm like, go work out. Even go for a walk. Like, it sounds counterproductive, but honestly, like, I don't know the science behind it, but it does something.
Yeah. And I think part of it is it's releasing those endorphins. But if you're feeling depressed, you have that fatigue, then you have a real lack of endorphins, and you go out and you get your heart pumping, and you're going to be building that up. So
Makes
yeah,
sense.
that's a great recommendation. I'm glad that your care team lets you know about that one. Yeah, because it's almost counterintuitive. You're like, I have no energy. How can I do something? But that's really why I really love this Instagram group here, because we focus on yeah, this sucks. Honestly, none of us this young should be dealing with this, but how do we make it better? And so if we can push ourselves to do that physical activity, to do that yoga. I remember after my surgery, I did an online fitness class. It was one of the free ones for breast cancer survivors, and they had chair yoga. So they're like, if you cannot stand because you're on all these medications, then you can join us for an hour and we're going to do some simple stretching. That
Awesome.
was, really a really cool way. Just start where you are.
Exactly. That's so true. I also think exercise when you're in cancer treatment and almost gives you a sense of control back. I tried to reframe my treatment. I like actually didn't really call it cancer treatment much when I was through it. I was like, this is my healing journey, which I know sounds like kind of cringy, but for me, that just gave me more, I guess, false power over the process because I was like, I can't do anything when I'm actually in the chair getting chemo, but outside of it, I'm doing everything I can to help heal my body with the foods I'm eating, with the exercise I'm giving, with the meditation, prayer, like all of that stuff I was doing allowed me to be like, at least I'm contributing in some way, right? And exercise was a huge part of that for me.
Yeah. Yeah. You're even reminding me of something I did during my healing journey is I called it uncontrolled cell growth for the first 6 months. I was
That's
like, it is one grumpy cell that was just going on a tear and made a bunch of friends. And that's really what it is when we say cancer. It's such a scary word. But I was just like, yeah, it's just some uncontrolled cell growth. And I would do workouts. I would do like the chest flies and stuff like that, or running or walking. And every time I did a new rep in the gym, I imagined that this is killing cancer.
I did the same thing. So funny.
Yeah, we're like in the same mindset. And biochemically, it is right to a certain extent. We do see in clinical trials that physical activity improves survival rates, improves outcomes. It can make your treatment more effective. There is some science behind that. So I just think of this is taking care of it. It's strengthening your healthy cells, making more of those. Yeah, it's a mindset shift. And it seems funny. If it works, then what's the downside of it? Seeing physical activity as something that's healing, as something that's strengthening. There's no downside to that.
Absolutely. I think maybe we could talk a little bit about menopause and bone density loss and all the fun things that come along with hormone
Oh,
therapy. Yeah, fun combo. I had a meeting with someone in healthcare, and they said when I started, because I was worried about the weight gain and the bone density stuff, and they said the best thing anyone can do in menopause, not even just you're in your 20s in menopause, but just generally, is lift heavy things and eat protein. That's the best thing you can do. And obviously with the bone loss, you can do like vitamin D and stuff like that. But anyways, that relates to our topic on exercise of lifting weights. So I want to know what your experience is with that and if you believe in that same mindset for your own health being on these hormone. I know you're not on them right now, but you were on them before.
yeah. So I'm going to do a little set change here. I'm back. This is actually something I got here from Instagram. Thank you, Instagram. It was Mrs. Mindy Miller. She is a long-term breast cancer survivor. She had leukemia and then
Oh,
went to
yes.
her doctors and they said, hey, you need weight bearing. So this is a weight vest, as you can see. And this one is about 12 pounds because she said she did a 6-pound one. And I was like, that's not enough for me. I need to up that because I apparently am just like my husband and we like to go all in on things. I just got this recently, but I've been wearing it when I go outside on my walks. So it's additional weight bearing that you can have just in normal activities. And so I think it's really cool because I stopped going to the gym with my broken wrist. I couldn't do a lot of things, but wearing this it's really adding that extra gravity to all of your bones.
Mhm.
And you don't really need your arms for it, it's just your body. So it's really cool. I've liked wearing it. You can start low with a low amount. And she said she just started wearing it during her chores. So she would be doing dishes or
Yeah.
cleaning and things like
Yeah.
that. And she would be wearing this, and then that would give her that additional amount. But she actually was able to reverse her osteopenia because of this, because of the weight bearing. So if you can't get to the gym, then one of these would be a good option to have at home. And I think it was under $50 on Amazon. So it's something that's
Oh,
really accessible for a lot of
yeah.
people, which is great. And then no gym membership needed. But I do like weights as well. And my husband does exercise bands. So
Okay.
that
Yep.
gives you extra resistance as well. So you can do that at home too. So there's a lot of options out there if you're not someone that wants to be in a gym. Although gyms do have a lot of great equipment and different varieties as
Mhm.
well that are good for you.
Oh, that is such great advice. And I'm definitely going to get that vest because I'm thinking like when I'm at the gym, I'm like, how do I even work those bones? How do you
Yeah.
really work your ribs? And I've noticed the last month when I'll get up from work or something, I'll hear all these bones crack. And I have never heard that until I started this hormone therapy.
Oh,
So I'm like,
wow. Okay.
yeah, I'm like, okay, something is not going well there. I'm definitely going to look into that vest. That's such great advice. And I love that Mindy's Instagram.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah. And it comes in fun colors. I got the blue. I was like, I'm not going to get the black one. I'm going to get the blue one. I think it comes in pink or something too.
So, oh, I'm gonna get the pink one.
Good when we matching. Great. Yeah. I guess we can wrap things up. I want to thank everyone for joining in. It's been a great discussion tonight. Thank you, Cass. And if you want to send us out, then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, thanks so much for hosting. Thanks everyone for joining. And we hope to see you next week and that your week is full of as much exercise as your body allows it.
Wonderful. All right. Take care, everyone.
See ya.
Bye.